Another day, another classic. Today, we're diving into all 4 movies of the Matrix series. We'll start with the original The Matrix, then move on to The Matrix Reloaded, followed by The Matrix Revolutions, and wrap up with The Matrix Resurrections. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the recap. The Matrix opens with a computer screen filled with green, cascading code. A phone rings, and text appears, call trans-opt, received. February 19, 1998 13:24 and 18 seconds rec. Log. We overhear a conversation between Trinity and Cypher, 2 free humans, discussing an unknown person. Cypher taunts Trinity, suggesting she enjoys watching him, but they will have to kill him. Trinity counters that Morpheus says he may be the one, just as the sound of a number being selected alerts Trinity that someone may be tracing their call. She ends the call abruptly. The scene shifts to the heart of the city hotel, where armed policemen move down a darkened, decrepit hallway, their flashlight beams bouncing just ahead of them. They come to room 303 and kick down the door, finding a woman dressed in black, facing away from them. It's Trinity. She brings her hands up from the laptop she's working on at their command. Using superhuman martial arts abilities that seem to defy gravity, Trinity easily defeats the 6 policemen sent to apprehend her. She calls Morpheus, letting him know that the line has been traced, though she doesn't know how. Morpheus informs her that she will have to make it to another exit, and that agents are heading toward her. Outside, 3 agents in neatly pressed black suits arrive: Agent Smith, Agent Brown, and Agent Jones. Agent Smith argues with the police lieutenant, admonishing him that they were given specific orders to contact the agents first, for their protection. The lieutenant dismisses this, saying they can handle one little girl and that he has 2 units that are bringing her down at that very moment. Agent Smith ominously replies, "No, Lieutenant. Your men are already dead." A fierce rooftop chase ensues, with Trinity and an agent making impossible leaps from one building to the next, astonishing the policemen left behind. Trinity makes a daring leap across an alley and through a small window. She has momentarily lost her pursuers and makes it to a public phone booth on the street level. The phone begins to ring. As she approaches it, a garbage truck, driven by Agent Smith, careens towards the phone booth. Trinity makes a desperate dash to the phone, picking it up just moments before the truck smashes the booth into a brick wall. The 3 agents reunite at the front of the truck. There is no body in the wreckage. "She got out," one says. Another says, "The informant is real." The third adds, "We have the name of their next target. His name is Neo." The scene transitions to Thomas Anderson, also known as Neo, a computer programmer by day and hacker by night. He's asleep at his computer when strange messages appear on his screen. "Wake up, Neo. The Matrix has you. Follow the white rabbit." Then, the text says, "Knock, knock, Neo." Just as he reads it, a knock comes at the door of his apartment, 101. It's a group of ravers, and Neo gives them a contraband disc he has secreted in a copy of Simulacra and Simulation. The lead raver asks him to join them and Neo demurs until he sees the tattoo of a small white rabbit on the shoulder of a seductive girl in the group. Intrigued, he decides to follow them to a nightclub. At the rave bar, Neo stands alone and aloof as the group he's with continues partying. Trinity approaches him and introduces herself. Neo recognizes her name. She was a famous hacker who had cracked the IRS database. She tells him that he is in great danger, that they are watching him, and that she knows he's been searching for answers, particularly to the most important question of all: what is the Matrix? The pulsing music of the bar gives way to the repetitious blare of Neo's alarm clock. It's 9:18, and he's late for work. At his job at Metacortex, a leading software company housed in an ominous high-rise, Neo is berated by his boss for having a problem with authority, for thinking he's special. Neo listens to his boss, but his attention is drawn to the window cleaners outside the office. Back at his bleak cubicle, Neo receives a delivery addressed to Thomas Anderson. Upon opening the package, he finds a cell phone which immediately rings. On the other end is Morpheus, who informs Neo that they've both run out of time and that they are coming for him. Morpheus tells him to slowly look up, toward the elevator. Agents Smith, Jones, and Brown are there, obviously looking for him, as a woman points towards Neo's cube. Morpheus tries to guide Neo out of the building, instructing him to get on the scaffolding and take it to the roof. However, Neo rejects Morpheus' advice, allowing himself to be taken by the agents. In an interrogation room, the agents confront Neo. Agent Smith reveals they've had their eye on him for some time. He lives a dual existence, one life as Thomas A. Anderson, a software engineer for Metacortex, the other life as Neo, a computer hacker guilty of virtually every computer crime we have a law for. Agent Smith asks him to help them capture Morpheus, considered by them to be a dangerous terrorist, in exchange for amnesty. Neo gives them the finger and asks for his phone call. Mr. Smith asks what good is a phone call if he's unable to speak. Neo finds that his lips have mysteriously fused together. Panicked, he is thrown on the interrogation table by the agents, and they implant a shrimp-like probe, a bug, in his stomach, entering through his navel. Neo awakens with a start in his own bed, assuming it has all been a bad dream. His phone rings, and Morpheus is on the other line. He tells Neo that the line is tapped, but they've underestimated his importance. Morpheus tells Neo he is the one and instructs him to meet him at the Adams Street Bridge. There, he is picked up by Trinity and two others in a car. They all wear black latex and leather. A woman in the front seat, Switch, suddenly points a gun at him and tells him to take off his shirt. Trinity tells him it's for their mutual protection and that he has to trust her. He takes off his shirt, and she uses a device to remove the probe that Neo believed had been part of a nightmare. Trinity drops the bug out into the road where it slowly goes dark in the rain. Trinity takes Neo to Morpheus. Morpheus explains that he's been searching for Neo his entire life and asks if Neo feels like Alice in Wonderland, falling down the rabbit hole. He explains to Neo that they exist in the Matrix, a false reality that has been constructed for humans to hide the truth. The truth is that everyone in the world is a slave, born into bondage. Morpheus holds out two pills. In his left palm is a blue pill. If Neo takes it, he will wake up in his bed and believe whatever you want to believe. But if he takes the red pill in Morpheus's right hand, then you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Neo takes the red pill. As the rest of Morpheus's crew straps him into a chair, Neo is told that the pill he took is part of a trace program to disrupt his input/output carrier signal so that they can pinpoint him. Neo looks at a shattered mirror placed next to him, which miraculously repairs itself. Neo touches the surface, and the silver begins to creep over his skin, engulfing him as Morpheus's crew attempt to locate something on the monitors around them. The silver fluid covers him entirely, moves down his throat, and he blacks out. He awakens inside a pinkish/purple embryonic pod, extending from the side of a huge tower, part of a massive power plant. He is hairless and naked, with thick black tubes snaking down his throat, plugged into the back of his skull, his spine, and invading most of the rest of his body. He finds his pod is open and that he is surrounded by tower after tower of pods just like his, all filled with bodies. Suddenly a menacing, hovering robotic sentinel grabs him by the throat. The cable inserted into the base of his skull suddenly detaches. The rest of the tubes pop off his limbs, and Neo is flushed down a tube into an underground pool of filthy water. Just as he's about to drown in the muck, a hovercraft appears above him, snags him, and hauls him into its cargo bay. Neo finds himself surrounded by Morpheus's crew again, but they are dressed differently, in simple knit garments. Just before Neo passes out, Morpheus says to him, "Welcome to the real world." Neo drifts in and out of consciousness. At one point, he asks, "Am I dead?" "Far from it," replies Morpheus. Again he wakes, his body a pincushion of acupuncture needles. "Why do my eyes hurt?" he asks. "You've never used them," Morpheus replies. Neo finally wakes fully, clothed, with a short shock of hair on his head. He removes a connector that is sunk deep into his arm and reaches to find the large socket at the back of his neck when Morpheus enters the room. "What is this place?" Neo asks. "More important than where is when," says Morpheus. "You believe it's the year 1999 when in fact it's closer to 2199. I can't tell you exactly what year it is because we honestly don't know." Morpheus gives Neo a tour of his ship, the Nebuchadnezzar. They pass a plaque stating it was built in 2069. Neo is introduced to Morpheus's crew, including Trinity, Apoc, a man with long, flowing black hair, Switch, Cypher, bald with a goatee, two brawny brothers, Tank and Dozer, and a young, thin man named Mouse. Morpheus then takes Neo to the central deck of the ship, where he prepares to show him the truth about the Matrix. Neo sits in a chair, and Trinity straps him in. A long probe is inserted into the socket at the back of Neo's skull. Neo wakes in a world of all white, the construct, a loading program used to prepare newly freed humans to interact with the Matrix. In the construct, Morpheus explains the history of the world to Neo. He shows him the world as it exists in 2199, a scorched, desolate wasteland with a blackened sky. Morpheus explains that at some point in the early 21st century, humans created AI, which spawned a race of machines. A war broke out between humans and machines, and the humans, in desperation, scorched the sky to cut off the machines' primary power source, solar energy. The machines, however, found an alternative power source, human beings. Morpheus shows Neo vast fields where machines grow human beings, connecting them to a massive electrical system and feeding them with the liquefied remains of the dead. The Matrix, Morpheus explains, is a computer-generated dream world created to keep humans docile while their bodies are used as batteries. Neo initially rejects this information so feverishly that he demands release from the construct. Back in the real world, he vomits and passes out. When he wakes up in his bunk, Morpheus apologizes for breaking a cardinal rule. After a certain age, people aren't brought out of the Matrix. But Morpheus had to bring Neo out because he believes Neo is the one. Morpheus explains that when the Matrix was first built, there was a man born inside who had the ability to change whatever he wanted, to remake the Matrix as he saw fit. It was he who freed the first of us, taught us the truth: as long as the Matrix exists, the human race will never be free. After he died, the Oracle prophesied his return and that his coming would hail the destruction of the Matrix, end the war, bring freedom to our people. That is why there are those of us who have spent our entire lives searching the Matrix, looking for him. I did what I did because I believe that search is over, Morpheus concludes. The next day, Neo starts his training. Hank, the operator, loads various training programs directly into Neo's brain. Neo is shocked by the force of the knowledge pouring into him but quickly adapts. He learns numerous martial arts styles and combat techniques at an incredible pace, impressing both Tank and Morpheus. After his initial training, Morpheus takes Neo into a sparring program to test his abilities. They fight in a virtual dojo, with Morpheus easily parrying and subduing Neo at first. Morpheus explains that the Matrix has rules, like gravity, but some can be bent and others can be broken. He encourages Neo to free his mind, to push beyond what he thinks is possible. Following the sparring session, Neo undergoes the jump program. Both men now stand on one of several tall buildings in a simulated city skyline. Morpheus explains that Neo must free his mind, then leaps impossibly from one building to the next. Neo, nervous, tries to follow but doesn't make the jump, falling to the pavement below. He wakes back in the Nebuchadnezzar with blood in his mouth. "I thought it wasn't real," he says. "Your mind makes it real," replies Morpheus. "So, if you die in the Matrix, you die here? The body cannot live without the mind," says Morpheus, underlining the very real danger faced in the simulation. Later, Morpheus takes Neo through another simulation of the Matrix, this time a busy city street. He explains that the Matrix is a system and that system is their enemy. All the people inhabiting it, the very people they're trying to save, are part of that system and will fight to protect it. Morpheus warns Neo about the agents, sentient programs that can move in and out of any software still hardwired to their system. Inside the Matrix, they are everyone and they are no one. To demonstrate, Morpheus has Neo turn to look at a woman in a red dress, but when Neo turns back, he's facing Agent Smith pointing a gun at his head. Morpheus freezes the program and explains that the agents are guarding all the doors and holding all the keys. Sooner or later, someone will have to fight them, but no one who has stood up to an agent has survived. All have died. But where they have failed, Morpheus believes Neo will succeed, because he is the one. Meanwhile, it's revealed that Cypher is secretly meeting with Agent Smith in the Matrix. In a fancy restaurant, Cypher cuts into a juicy steak, knowing full well it's not real but enjoying it nonetheless. He strikes a deal to betray his crew in exchange for being reinserted into the Matrix as a wealthy, ignorant individual. He can't provide direct access to Zion's mainframe but offers to help the agents capture Morpheus, who has the access codes. Morpheus decides it's time to take Neo to see the Oracle, a prophetic figure who has been with the Resistance since the beginning. Morpheus, Trinity, Neo, APOC, Switch, Mouse, and Cypher jack into the Matrix. As they walk out of a warehouse, Cypher secretly throws his cell phone into the garbage, initiating his betrayal. In the Oracle's apartment, Neo encounters other potentials, children with various abilities like bending spoons with their minds. A young boy tells Neo, "Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth. There is no spoon." The Oracle, appearing as a grandmotherly figure baking cookies, speaks to Neo privately. She implies that he's not the one, at least not yet. She predicts that Neo will soon have to choose between his own life and Morpheus's. She also cryptically states that Neo is waiting for something, perhaps his next life. As they leave the Oracle, Neo experiences déjà vu when he sees a black cat repeat the same motion twice. The crew explains that déjà vu is actually a glitch in the Matrix, often indicating that something has been changed. They realize they've been set up and are suddenly under attack by agents and police. In the ensuing battle, Mouse is killed, and Morpheus sacrifices himself to allow Neo and the others to escape. The agents capture Morpheus and begin interrogating him, attempting to hack his mind for the access codes to Zion's mainframe. Agent Smith reveals to Morpheus that the first Matrix was designed as a utopia but failed because humans wouldn't accept it. The current Matrix is designed based on the peak of your civilization, which Smith dismissively refers to as a disaster. Back on the Nebuchadnezzar, Cypher, who has returned first, attacks Tank and Dozer, killing Dozer and severely wounding Tank. He then begins to unplug and kill the other crew members still in the Matrix. He reveals his betrayal to Trinity, expressing his hatred for the real world and his desire to return to the illusion of the Matrix. Just as he's about to unplug Neo, Tank, who has survived, kills Cypher with the same weapon. Despite the seeming impossibility of the task, Neo decides to re-enter the Matrix to rescue Morpheus, believing in the Oracle's prophecy that he would have to make this choice. Trinity insists on accompanying Neo, reminding him that Morpheus sacrificed himself to save Neo because he believed Neo was the one. Tank, though injured, agrees to operate for them. Armed with an enormous arsenal of weapons, Neo and Trinity fight their way into the military-controlled building where Morpheus is held. As they enter the lobby, they engage in a spectacular shootout with the guards, showcasing their enhanced abilities within the Matrix. In an incredible display of skill, Neo dodges bullets fired at him by an agent, moving at superhuman speed and bending backwards in a move that will become iconic. This feat shocks Trinity, who has never seen anyone move that fast. They reach the roof, where they commandeer a helicopter. Neo holds off the agents with a mounted gun while Trinity pilots the aircraft to rescue Morpheus, who is being held in a room with floor-to-ceiling windows. As they try to escape, the helicopter is damaged by agent fire. Morpheus makes a daring leap from the building, and Neo performs an impossible jump to catch him in mid-air. Trinity crashes the aircraft into a building but manages to jump to safety on Neo's safety line moments before impact. The group heads to an exit point, a ringing phone in a subway station. Morpheus and Trinity manage to exit the Matrix, but before Neo can leave, Agent Smith arrives. Instead of running, Neo decides to stand and fight, believing he might be the one after all. Neo and Smith engage in a brutal hand-to-hand fight in the subway station. Initially, Smith seems to be winning, his speed and strength overwhelming Neo. He pins Neo down in front of an oncoming train, taunting him about the inevitability of his death. "You hear that, Mr. Anderson? That is the sound of inevitability. It is the sound of your death," Smith says. However, Neo manages to flip them both to safety at the last second, replying, "My name is Neo." Neo escapes, and Smith takes over another body to continue the pursuit. Meanwhile, in the real world, machine sentinels have discovered the Nebuchadnezzar and are attacking it. The only defense against them is an EMP, electromagnetic pulse, but using it while Neo is still in the Matrix would kill him. The crew faces a tense countdown, hoping Neo can escape in time. In the Matrix, Neo runs through streets and buildings, with agents constantly in pursuit, taking over the bodies of civilians. He finally reaches another exit point in room 303 of the heart of the City Hotel, the same room where we first saw Trinity at the beginning of the film. Just as he opens the door, Agent Smith appears and shoots him multiple times in the chest. In both the Matrix and the real world, Neo appears to die. His body in the chair goes limp, and his vital signs flatline. The Sentinels are about to breach the Nebuchadnezzar's hull. Trinity, recalling that the Oracle told her she would fall in love with the One, leans over Neo's body and whispers to him. She tells him that he can't be dead because she loves him, and the Oracle told her she would fall in love with the One. She kisses him, and miraculously, Neo comes back to life in both worlds. When Neo stands up in the Matrix, he perceives it differently, seeing it as streams of green code rather than the simulated reality. He has fully awakened to his powers as the One. He effortlessly stops bullets fired by the agents, the projectiles dropping harmlessly to the floor. He engages the agents in combat with his newfound powers, moving with impossible speed and strength. In the final confrontation with Agent Smith, Neo seems to be toying with him, blocking his attacks with one hand. Eventually, Neo defeats Smith by leaping into his body and destroying him from the inside, causing Smith to explode into code. The other agents flee in fear, recognizing that Neo is far beyond their capabilities. Neo makes it back to the exit phone just in time. In the real world, Morpheus activates the EMP, disabling the attacking Sentinels moments before they can destroy the ship. The crew is safe, and Neo has proven himself to be the One. The movie concludes with Neo making a phone call inside the Matrix. In a monologue, he warns the machines that he's going to show humans the truth and create a world without rules or boundaries. His words serve as both a promise of liberation to humanity and a challenge to the machines. The Matrix Reloaded opens with cascading green code forming the title. The image zooms into intricate machinery, transforming into a clock. We see security guards clocking out for the night, setting a mundane scene that's quickly disrupted. Suddenly, a figure in black on a motorcycle flies through the air. It's Trinity, who performs a spectacular backwards flip as her bike crashes into the guardhouse, causing an explosion. She easily fights off the attacking guards, demonstrating superhuman abilities. The scene shifts to Trinity bursting through a high-rise window, pursued by an agent. They exchange gunfire as they fall towards the street below, moving in slow motion. Trinity is shot in the chest, and something crashes into a car on the sidewalk. Neo wakes up from this nightmare, looking over at Trinity sleeping peacefully beside him. He gets out of bed, troubled by the dream. This recurring nightmare sets the tone for Neo's growing anxiety about Trinity's safety throughout the film and foreshadows events to come. The Nebuchadnezzar, piloted by Morpheus and the new operator Link, lands in the underground city of Zion. Link expresses doubts about their mission, saying, "Sir, are you sure about this?" Morpheus tells him he must trust him if he's to continue as the ship's operator. Link responds, "Yes, sir. I will, sir," then corrects himself, I do, sir." This exchange highlights the faith Morpheus has in the prophecy and his expectation that others will share this faith, as well as introducing Link as a new, somewhat uncertain crew member. In the mess hall, Neo confides in Trinity about his recurring nightmares. I wish I knew what I'm supposed to do, that's all. I just wish I knew," he says. Trinity reassures him that the Oracle will call soon. This conversation underscores Neo's uncertainty about his role and the weight of expectation placed upon him as the One. In Zion, a meeting is held about the imminent threat to the city. The machines are digging and will reach Zion in 72 hours. Niobe is addressing the crowd when Morpheus and his crew arrive late.
Sounds exactly like the thinking of a machine.
Morpheus argues that there's nothing to fear because he believes the prophecy will come true very soon and end the war. But first the Oracle must be consulted, he says. He asks for a volunteer ship to remain in broadcast depth while the Nebuchadnezzar returns to Zion for repairs, despite Commander Locke's orders for all ships to return. Captain Ballard of the Caduceus volunteers, saying, "I'll volunteer. Just to see what a victory looks like." This scene establishes the tension between those who believe in the prophecy, like Morpheus, and those who don't, like Locke, as well as the different attitudes among the ship captains. Meanwhile, someone knocks on the entrance door to the meeting. A guard opens a small hatch and sees a silhouetted head against car headlights. The stranger asks for Neo, saying, "You see, he set me free." It's unmistakably the voice of Agent Smith. Neo senses something is wrong and comes to investigate. The guard hands him an envelope containing an agent's earpiece. Agents are coming, Neo warns, and they flee, leaving Neo to handle the threat. Neo stays behind to fight 3 agents. During the fight, he pauses momentarily while blocking a blow and says, upgrades. He defeats them easily and flies away. Smith, now able to replicate himself, appears and says to another Smith, "It's all happening exactly as before." "Well, not exactly," the other Smith replies, and they smile. This encounter introduces the new threat posed by Smith, who has become an unpredictable wild card in the system, able to replicate himself and no longer bound by the rules of the Matrix. In Zion, Neo is enthusiastically greeted by a teenage boy who runs towards them, asking, "Neo, can I carry that for you?" Neo and Trinity try to brush him off, but Link allows the boy to carry his bags. This brief interaction shows the reverence with which many in Zion view Neo as the One, particularly the younger generation. Link reunites with his girlfriend Z, who's unhappy about him serving on Morpheus's ship. "It's not fair," she says. "You think Cass thinks it's fair that I'm here and Dozer's not?" Link argues. She's already lost 2 brothers to the Nebuchadnezzar and fears losing Link too. This subplot adds emotional depth to the stakes of the humans' fight and shows the personal cost of their war against the machines.
Doesn't have to be on that ship and seeing Neo do the things he can do.
Commander Locke criticizes Morpheus for disobeying orders, but Counselor Hammond intervenes, asking what they should tell the people at the upcoming gathering. Locke believes they should know as little as possible to avoid panic, while Morpheus thinks the truth should be told because there's nothing to fear. This interaction reveals the political tensions within Zion and the different approaches to handling the crisis. That night, Zion holds a gathering in a massive cavern. Counselor Hammond gives an opening prayer, and Morpheus delivers a rousing speech, confirming the rumors about the machines but assuring everyone there's nothing to fear. "We are still here," is his main argument. A celebration follows, with music and dancing. This scene serves to show the unity and spirit of Zion's inhabitants in the face of danger, as well as their determination to live fully despite the threat. Neo and Trinity slip away for an intimate moment, making love while the rest of Zion celebrates. This passionate scene deepens the emotional connection between Neo and Trinity, setting up the personal stakes for Neo's later choice. Afterwards, Neo has another flash of his nightmare about Trinity falling, highlighting his fears of losing her.
I'm never letting go.
Later, Neo meets Counselor Hammond, who shows him Zion's engineering level. They discuss the relationship between humans and machines, pondering whether the free humans are, in a sense, still plugged into these machines. Neo suggests they could shut the machines down if they wanted to, but Hammond points out the consequences. What would happen to our heat, our air, our water? This philosophical conversation foreshadows some of the complex questions about the nature of freedom and dependence that the film explores. The next morning, Neo receives a message from the Oracle. Against Locke's orders, Morpheus takes his crew to meet her. Before they leave, a crew member named Bane, secretly taken over by Smith, attempts to attack Neo with a knife but is interrupted by the teenage admirer. Bane quickly hides the knife and claims he just wanted to wish Neo luck. This moment hints at the danger Smith poses, even outside the Matrix. In the Matrix, Neo meets Seraph, the Oracle's protector, in Chinatown. Seraph attacks Neo, explaining afterwards, "You do not truly know someone until you fight them." This test leads to Seraph taking Neo through a series of backdoors to the Oracle.
Are you a programmer?
This sequence introduces the concept of backdoors in the Matrix and showcases more of the system's inner workings. The Oracle, sitting on a bench in an isolated courtyard, explains to Neo that she is a program designed to understand human nature. She warns Neo that he'll soon have to choose between saving Trinity's life or saving Zion. To reach the source, the machine mainframe, Neo will need the Keymaker, an exile program held captive by another program called the Merovingian. "You've seen it, in your dreams, haven't you?" she asks, referring to Trinity's fall. This conversation sets up the central conflict Neo will face and introduces key new elements to the plot. After the Oracle leaves, Neo is confronted by Smith and his copies. Smith explains that when Neo destroyed him, he refused to be deleted and is now unplugged from the system. A massive fight ensues between Neo and countless Smith copies. Neo eventually escapes by flying away. This battle demonstrates Smith's new powers and the serious threat he poses to both humans and the Matrix itself. Neo, Morpheus, and Trinity visit the Merovingian at his restaurant. The Merovingian, a pompous trafficker of information, refuses to release the Keymaker. He pontificates about causality and free will, saying, "Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without." His wife Persephone, resenting her husband's infidelity, offers to help if Neo kisses her. Despite Trinity's objections, Neo complies. This scene introduces the complex dynamics among programs in the Matrix and adds layers to the film's exploration of choice and causality. Persephone leads them to the Keymaker, but the Merovingian discovers her betrayal. A fight breaks out in the chateau, with Neo battling the Merovingian's henchmen while Morpheus and Trinity escape with the Keymaker. The action moves through various parts of the chateau, showcasing Neo's growing powers and the diverse, supernatural abilities of the Merovingian's followers. A high-speed chase follows on the freeway, with agents and the Merovingian's ghostly twins in pursuit. Trinity and the Keymaker escape on a motorcycle while Morpheus fights on top of a truck. Niobe joins the chase to help. This extended action sequence is one of the film's centerpieces, featuring spectacular stunts and effects. It culminates with Neo arriving just in time to save Morpheus and the Keymaker from a fiery collision between two trucks. His timely rescue reinforces his role as the group's protector and his growing mastery over the Matrix. Back in Zion, they learn the machines will reach the city in about 9 hours. The Keymaker explains their mission. Neo must reach the source, but to do so, they need to disable the power grid for 27 city blocks. This will create a 5-minute window for Neo to open a special door. Niobe and Ghost are tasked with taking out the power station, while Soren's crew must disable the emergency system. All must be done as one. If one fails, all fail, the Keymaker warns. This briefing sets up the complex, multi-part mission that forms the climax of the film. Before the mission, Neo makes Trinity promise not to enter the Matrix. However, when Soren's crew is killed by Sentinels, Trinity has to enter to complete their task.
They're still inside.
This development sets up the fulfillment of Neo's nightmare and creates tension as the audience anticipates Trinity's fall. As the mission begins, Neo, Morpheus, and the Keymaker enter a building with countless doors. They're attacked by many Smith copies. The Keymaker manages to open the right door, but is gunned down by Smiths as he closes it, dying after ensuring Neo and Morpheus get through. With his last breath, he tells Neo which key to use. The Keymaker's sacrifice adds emotional weight to the mission and demonstrates the high stakes involved. Neo enters a room filled with TV screens, meeting the architect, the creator of the Matrix. The architect, speaking in complex terms, reveals that Neo is the sixth one, part of a cyclical system of control. He explains that the Matrix is older than Neo realizes, and this is its sixth iteration. The first Matrix was designed to be perfect but failed because humans rejected it. The Oracle, an intuitive program, discovered that humans needed to be given choice for the system to work. This conversation is dense with information, dramatically changing the audience's understanding of the Matrix and the role of the One. The architect explains that Neo must now return to the source to reboot the Matrix, allowing for the selection of 23 individuals to rebuild Zion. If he doesn't, the Matrix will crash due to system failure, killing everyone connected to it. As Zion is about to be destroyed, this would mean the end of the human race. This presents Neo with an impossible choice, testing his commitment to humanity versus his personal feelings. The architect reveals that Neo's predecessors were designed to feel a general attachment to humanity, but Neo has a more specific love, Trinity. He shows Neo that Trinity has entered the Matrix and is in danger. Neo must choose between two doors, one leading to the source to save humanity, and one leading to Trinity, which will doom humanity. Despite the architect's logic, Neo chooses to save Trinity, saying, "The problem is choice." This decision is a pivotal moment, showcasing Neo's humanity and setting up the final act of the film. Meanwhile, Trinity battles an agent, mirroring Neo's nightmare. She jumps from a building, pursued by the agent who shoots her as they fall. Neo flies at superhuman speed to catch Trinity. On a rooftop, Neo removes the bullet and restarts Trinity's heart by manipulating the Matrix code. "I guess this makes us even," Trinity whispers after she's revived. This sequence, foreshadowed by Neo's nightmares, is a powerful emotional climax to the film. Returning to the others, Neo reveals that the prophecy was a lie, another system of control. This revelation shakes Morpheus's faith, causing him to say, "I have dreamed a dream, but now that dream has gone from me." It changes the entire context of their struggle. Before they can process this information, Sentinels attack their ship.
We have to get out of here.
They're forced to abandon the Nebuchadnezzar, which is destroyed by a tow bomb launched by a Sentinel. This attack brings the danger into the real world, raising the stakes even further. As Sentinels close in on the fleeing humans, Neo suddenly stops and says, "Something's different. I can feel them." He raises his hand, emitting an EMP-like effect that disables the Sentinels. However, the effort causes Neo to collapse. This unexpected development adds a new layer of mystery to Neo's powers and the nature of reality in the film's universe. The movie ends with Neo unconscious aboard another ship, the Hammer, with Trinity at his side. The crew learns that Zion's counterattack against the machines failed catastrophically. An EMP was triggered too early, disabling 5 ships and leading to a massacre. The only survivor from this disaster is Bane, who is also unconscious on the Hammer. This cliffhanger ending sets up the final installment of the trilogy, leaving many questions unanswered. The Matrix Revolutions begins with Neo and Bane/Smith both unconscious. Neo's neural patterns mirror those connected to the Matrix, despite not being plugged in. Neo finds himself trapped in a subway station called Mobile Avenue, an anagram for limbo, a transition zone between the Matrix and the machine mainframe. Here, he encounters a family of programs of Indian origin, including a girl named Sati. The station is controlled by the trainman, an exile loyal to the Merovingian, who refuses to let Neo leave. Morpheus, dispirited after the destruction of the Nebuchadnezzar and the revelation about the true nature of the prophecy, searches for Neo within the Matrix. Seraph contacts Morpheus on behalf of the Oracle, who now resides in a different shell. The Oracle informs Morpheus and Trinity of Neo's predicament. Morpheus, Trinity, and Seraph attempt to rescue Neo by confronting the trainman but fail to catch him. Their only option is to confront the Merovingian at Club Hell. After fighting their way through the club's defenses, they force a meeting with the Merovingian. He demands the eyes of the Oracle in exchange for Neo's release, but Trinity initiates a Mexican standoff, compelling the Merovingian to free Neo. Meanwhile, in Mobile Avenue, Neo tries to escape by running through the train tunnel, only to find himself back in the station. Eventually, Trinity arrives and frees him. Neo, troubled by visions of the Machine City, visits the Oracle one last time. She explains that as the One, Neo developed a connection with the Source upon his previous visit, granting him powers both in and out of the Matrix. The Oracle characterizes Smith as Neo's opposite and negative, warning that Smith's growing power threatens not only the Matrix but also the Source and the Machine City. She cryptically states that everything that has a beginning has an end and that the war will end soon one way or another. After Neo leaves, Smith and his clones arrive at the Oracle's home. Smith confronts her and assimilates her, gaining her powers of precognition. The new Smith cackles maniacally at the future he foresees. In the real world, the crews of the Nebuchadnezzar and the Mjolnir, nicknamed the Hammer, find Niobe's deactivated ship, the Logos. They reactivate it and question the awakened Bane, who claims to have no memory of the recent battle. Neo announces his need to travel to the Machine City but can't explain why. Niobe, following the Oracle's guidance, allows Neo to take the Logos despite Captain Roland's objections. Trinity decides to accompany Neo. The remaining crews plan to return to Zion, navigating through treacherous service tunnels with Niobe piloting. They soon discover that Bane has murdered a crew member and hidden aboard the Logos but are unable to warn Neo and Trinity. Before the Logos can depart, Bane ambushes Trinity. Neo fights Bane, who reveals himself as a manifestation of Smith. During the struggle, Bane blinds Neo by cauterizing his eyes with a severed electric cable. Despite his blindness, Neo can perceive Smith's presence inside Bane as a fiery form. Neo defeats Bane, and Trinity pilots them towards the Machine City. Niobe, with Morpheus as her co-pilot, navigates the Mjolnir through the lowest tunnel system, trying to avoid detection by Sentinels. However, they're discovered and pursued. The crew fights off the Sentinels, but the ship sustains damage, including the loss of its communications antenna. In Zion, defenders deploy infantry with rocket launchers and armored personnel units, APUs, to protect the dock from assault. 2 giant drilling machines, diggers, breach the dock, followed by a massive swarm of Sentinels. The battle is fierce, with heavy losses on the human side. Link's wife, Z, and her partner, Chara, use rocket launchers to fight the machines. Chara manages to damage a digger but is killed by Sentinels, while Z escapes. Captain Mifune, critically wounded by Sentinels, uses his dying breath to instruct Kid to open the gate for the approaching Mjolnir. Kid overcomes his fear and successfully opens the gate. The Mjolnir enters Zion and activates its EMP, destroying the Sentinels but also disabling Zion's remaining defenses. The humans retreat to the temple entrance, preparing for what seems to be their final stand. Neo and Trinity, nearing the Machine City, fly over vast fields where humans are harvested for energy. The city's defense systems attack them with mobile bombs and Sentinels. Neo uses his connection to the source to destroy the bombs, but Sentinels overwhelm the ship. Trinity pilots the Logos into an electrical storm cloud, disabling the Sentinels but also the ship's engines. As they emerge briefly above the cloud layer, Trinity sees real sunlight and blue sky for the first and last time. The ship plummets back into the storm and crashes into a machine tower. Trinity is fatally wounded in the crash. She dies in Neo's arms after a poignant farewell. Neo, now alone, enters the Machine City to negotiate. He confronts the Deus Ex Machina, a massive droid with a human child's face that acts as the interface to the source. Neo warns that Smith is beyond the machine's control and offers to stop him in exchange for peace with Zion. The machines agree, and the Sentinels in Zion immediately stand down. The Deus Ex Machina provides a connection for Neo to enter the Matrix and confront Smith. Inside the Matrix, now entirely populated by Smith clones, Neo faces the Smith that assimilated the Oracle. This Smith claims to have foreseen his victory. They engage in an epic battle, fighting through the streets, buildings, and sky of the Matrix. The fight culminates in a massive crater where Smith seemingly defeats Neo. As Smith gloats about his foreseen victory, he struggles to remember what comes next in his vision. Neo, refusing to give up, prompts Smith to repeat the Oracle's words, "Everything that has a beginning has an end." Realizing that Smith's assimilation isn't complete, Neo allows Smith to assimilate him, saying, "It was inevitable." As Smith assimilates Neo, a surge of energy flows through Neo's body in the Machine City. This energy begins to destroy the Smith clones from the inside out, similar to how the original Agent Smith was destroyed in the first movie. All the Smiths are eliminated, and the people and programs he had assimilated return to normal, including the Oracle. With Smith defeated, the Sentinels withdraw from Zion. Neo's body, having sacrificed itself to save both machines and humans, is respectfully carried away by the machines. The movie concludes with a meeting between the Architect and the Oracle. The Architect acknowledges that the Oracle played a very dangerous game by attempting to change the Matrix's function. The Oracle admits she understood the risk but felt it was worth taking. She inquires about the fate of humans who wish to leave the Matrix, and the Architect confirms they will be freed. When the Oracle asks if she has his word, the Architect responds, "What do you think I am, human?" The final shot depicts a new dawn in the world of the Matrix, created by Sudi. For the first time, the Matrix is shown without its characteristic green tint, and plant life is visible, suggesting a new beginning and a more harmonious relationship between humans and machines. The Matrix Resurrections begins with a group of synthetic beings, known as synthients, exploring a modal within the digital world of the Matrix. Aboard the ship Namazani, its captain, Bugs, notices an unusual simulation in progress. This simulation depicts a recreation of an iconic event, Trinity being pursued by the infamous agents, although things seem off. It doesn't exactly match what happened in the original Matrix. Bugs and Sek, the operator of the Namazani, observe this recreation. As Bugs watches closely, she quickly realizes that this situation is not what she expected, and she concludes that the scenario is a trap set within the Matrix. As Bugs continues to navigate through the simulation, she suddenly becomes the target of the agents. She flees into an old, dilapidated apartment building. One of the agents catches up with her, and to her surprise, she realizes they are standing in the former apartment of Thomas Anderson, also known as Neo. Bugs confronts the lead agent and tells him she knows that Neo is still alive, despite the popular belief that he died years ago. She recalls how, in her past life, she was stuck in a mundane job washing windows. During one of those days, she witnessed Neo in his true form stepping off the side of a tall building without falling. In that brief moment, when their eyes met, her mind was suddenly awakened, and she began to see the truth of the Matrix. This experience has left her certain that Neo is alive somewhere within the system. The agent, acknowledging her story, reveals that he is not just an ordinary agent. In a dramatic moment, he unveils his true identity. He is Morpheus, the revolutionary figure who originally freed Neo. Morpheus, too, has seen glitches within the Matrix, peculiar codes in windows and mirrors, and has started to realize that he, too, is caught in a simulation. Bugs presents Morpheus with the familiar choice of the red and blue pills, and after a moment of contemplation, he takes the red pill, accepting the truth. They attempt to flee the pursuing agents, but they are blocked at nearly every turn. With no other choice, Bugs and Morpheus make a daring escape by leaping out of a window together, tumbling into the unknown.
You have to get out of here.
My name is Bugs.
Meanwhile, Neo is living an ordinary life, now known as Thomas Anderson. He works for a major video game company called Deus Machina, where he has built a highly successful career. Ironically, the games he has designed are based on the events of his past life within the Matrix, although Neo believes these memories are merely dreams or fantasies. He is credited with creating a popular trilogy of games, titled The Matrix, which mirrors his own experiences but within the framework of a fictional game world. However, the blurred line between reality and fantasy has left Neo feeling unsettled. One day, Neo's co-worker Jude invites him to a local coffee shop. There, Neo sees a woman who looks familiar, Tiffany, who he strongly feels is Trinity, though she is now living under a different identity. Neo feels a deep connection to her, but when Jude tries to help by introducing them, they discover that Tiffany is married to a man named Chad, and she has 2 children. While Neo tries to make casual conversation with her, the realization that she has moved on with her life as a family woman makes him feel conflicted. Back at work, Neo encounters a disturbance in his game code, but the issue is quickly resolved. He is called to a meeting with his business partner, Smith. This new version of Smith seems different from the one Neo remembers, though the underlying animosity remains. Smith informs Neo that their parent company, Warner Brothers, has demanded a new sequel to their original game trilogy, even though Neo feels uncertain about diving back into the world he once left behind. Neo becomes increasingly unsettled and begins to experience intense feelings of déjà vu, as if fragments of his old life are slowly returning to him. Unable to shake his confusion, Neo visits his therapist, the analyst. The analyst plays a key role in Neo's life, helping him cope with the lingering effects of what Neo perceives as delusions or hallucinations. The analyst provides Neo with blue pills to keep him grounded, further convincing him that what he is experiencing is merely a form of psychosis, a result of the trauma he endured after a failed suicide attempt. This suicide attempt, it turns out, was the very moment when Bugs had witnessed Neo step off the building. Despite taking the blue pills, Neo continues to experience visions and unsettling moments. He returns to the coffee shop to see Trinity, or Tiffany, and they share a brief conversation. During their chat, she reveals that she once saw her sons playing the Matrix video games and remarked on how much the character of Trinity looked like her. This moment intensifies Neo's confusion, as he begins to question whether his past memories were real after all.
We don't cooperate.
Not as binary as that.
Yesterday, you walked into a meeting and your mind fought back. Remember how hard it was for you to share something.
Suddenly, the offices of Deus Machina are evacuated for unknown reasons. Neo receives an urgent message instructing him to go to the bathroom, where he is confronted by Morpheus. Once again, Morpheus offers him the familiar choice, the red or the blue pill. Neo begins to panic as he comes to the realization that his dreams were, in fact, real. Before he can fully process what's happening, agents burst into the scene and open fire. Morpheus retaliates, engaging in a shootout, while Smith reawakens his own memories and shouts, "Mr. Anderson," as he aims a gun at Neo. As the chaos unfolds, Neo suddenly finds himself back in the analyst's office, where he is once again told that everything he's experienced is a product of his mind, an elaborate fantasy.
Mr. Anderson! My mind.
Feeling lost and unsure of what is real, Neo contemplates jumping off a building to fly, just as he once did in his previous life. Before he can take the leap, Bugs stops him and reveals the truth. His co-worker Jude is actually a program designed to monitor him and keep him trapped within the illusion of the Matrix. Bugs implores Neo to come with her, and together, they escape onto a train, where they reunite with Morpheus and the crew of the Mnemosyne. As they travel through the train, they explain to Neo that 60 years have passed since the war with the machines. The world has changed drastically, and though Neo still looks like himself within the Matrix, his true form in the real world is that of an elderly man. Bugs and her team show Neo images from his past, reminding him of his original journey with Morpheus and the truth of the Matrix. Neo reluctantly accepts this reality and takes the red pill once again, fully awakening his mind to the truth. As he does, the analyst becomes aware of Neo's awakening and grows anxious, realizing that his carefully constructed system is beginning to crumble. The group is suddenly attacked by agents, and the Mnemosyne crew is forced to fight their way through a chaotic battle as they attempt to escape. They manage to extract Neo from the Matrix, and he wakes up in a slimy, pod-like structure, similar to the one he had been in decades ago. Machines loyal to the human cause pull him out and transport him through the ruined remains of Zion. As Neo looks around, he notices Trinity still trapped in another pod nearby. Determined to save her, Neo is flown to the human sanctuary of Io, where he is plugged back into the construct for recovery. As Neo recovers, Morpheus explains that he is going through a difficult withdrawal from the lies the Matrix has fed him for so long. Morpheus, however, has faith in Neo and believes he can regain his strength. Neo is placed in a dojo simulation, where he and Morpheus spar, just as they once did in the past. Though Neo struggles at first, getting knocked down repeatedly, he slowly begins to regain his confidence and power. In a triumphant moment, Neo unleashes his abilities, sending Morpheus flying across the dojo and demolishing the simulated environment. When Neo fully reawakens in Io, Bugs introduces him to the crew formally, along with their doctor, Elster. Elster reveals that her grandfather was once a close ally of Neo's, making her deeply loyal to his cause. Neo asks about Trinity, but Bugs explains that they don't yet know how to free her from the Matrix. With this information, Neo becomes even more determined to find a way to save her. And that's the end of the Matrix series. Thanks for watching all the way through Neo's story with me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.